I see myself, punching her face, taking her back and choking her out, getting my hand raised and getting the job done.
Rosanna Younis, welcome back to BT Sport. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well indeed. It's great to see you. Looking forward to the fight of the weekend. We've got lots to talk about. I want to talk about history though first. Two-time. Sounds good that, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yes.
When people obviously are speaking to you this week and talking to you about you being the first female to have regained the UFC championship, how does that make you feel?
It feels pretty great, Just I'm fortunate to be so, I guess, have gotten into the sport so young, and so it's allowed me to have so many opportunities at different firsts. And I was trying to be the first strawweight champion. I didn't do that, so to be the first at something else is pretty cool.
It's incredibly cool. Does it feel different this time than it did the first time you became champion?
Yeah, I think every day is different. I'm always, becoming a new person, just evolving and growing. But I mean, I think as far as like what, who I am deep down, I'm sort of the same. But as far as my experience and everything my approach is way more mature.
What was learned from the first time of being champion? Because you work hard all your life to get to a particular situation, you become the champion, but then nobody actually teaches you of what it's like when you become. It's like driving, I suppose.
Yeah.
You do your lessons, you become a driver, but the actual real learning actually happens when you're in the car and you're away on the road.
Right.
What was that process like that first time round?
Yeah, there's it was easy to become bitter and ungrateful, just because I think you build up the belt to be this like huge, once I've got it, I've made it type of a thing. And in a way, yeah, it's definitely a step up in lifestyle and opportunities and different things that I can do. But it's always a journey. It's just a milestone, right? Like, and you got to keep building. It's not just one big old boulder. It's a whole building that I got to build. So for me, it's just enjoying being more present and just recognizing all the blessings that I have and being grateful for every day that I get to be alive. And then not only get to be alive, but get to do what I love, entertain people, and then, ultimately seek out my life's purpose and eventually get there. So that's what I'm doing.
You just used the word grateful twice in that. As we were building up to the fight with Weili, when we were interviewing over Zoom, you mentioned it a couple of times, and I noticed in the aftermath as well, you used it as well. How big of a part is gratitude and that feeling now, not just playing in mixed martial arts for you, but just in life in general?
For sure. I think it's number one. Like, I think knowing, like being grateful and like knowing that you should be grateful are two different things, even as much as I work hard and put effort into what I do, I know that nothing that I have is it's given to me, it's a blessing from God. So for me, it's like, I can work as hard as I want, but if it's not meant for me, then it doesn't matter. So for me, I totally understand the importance of, doing the work, but also knowing that opportunities have to align. And so every time that they do align, I just know that I'm right where I need to be. And so, yeah, it's number one. And
do you think that's come to you through martial arts, or has that come through to you just in life in general? Because obviously everybody's experienced something crazy over the last 18 months to 20 months or whatever it may be.
Right.
And gratitude, people can get angry, people have gone off on all these different paths with how they've dealt with the pandemic. What was the moment for you as a young woman which went, okay, I need to be more present, I need to be more grateful for these situations, and which then you can enjoy them a little bit more?
I think it's a combination of like my life, but obviously martial arts is a huge part of it, and it's just one facet that kind of just points it out to me. A huge thing is just all of the experiences that I've had over the years. Going to Indonesia, to a third world country, building earthships and digging holes in the dirt and seeing how the rest of the world lives, and you know, they're really athletic and talented people, and they could be in the position that I am in, but they're just born in a situation. So for me, that's like one thing. But yeah, martial arts, obviously, you know, dealing with injuries, getting dropped on my head, you know, all of those things, like it's life. But yeah, martial arts is for sure one of the best ways to learn about yourself and have a perspective on life, for sure.
The first fight with Zhang, the way that it finishes. Okay, I've no doubt that you had dreams of how that fight was going to finish, the build up to it, you had premonitions, this is how I want it to be, we're doing it in the gym, we're drilling X, Y, and Z. When that lands, and it's a head kick that went around the world, everybody's like, whoa, my days, I've never seen anything like that, it was absolutely sensational. What's it like for you? You're in the octagon in that particular moment, you've landed it, the crowd's gone crazy. Are you conscious of that, of what has just happened, or is it a relief feeling? What is the actual emotion at that moment?
You're just observing. Like, obviously, emotions are always running through your body at all moments, but there's like a cap to it. There's the person that's in the driving, you know, seat that's like, hey, like, we gotta just observe what's happening. There's always things that I pay attention to as far as like my opponent, my surroundings, all these things, but I just have to take that information and just like be objective as much as possible. But yes, I mean, gosh, you know, if there's a bomb going off, like, you're gonna feel some type of way. So for me, it's like when that landed, I felt some type of way, but I had to make sure I controlled myself and just observe. And I observed, you know, her body going down. I observed, okay, gotta do what I gotta do. And I've been, you know, I'm a finisher, so it's easier said than done, but I've been in that spot many times, and it's, you know, I think it's just a product of my training. I'm always going for the finish in practice, obviously with taking care of my partners, but going through those situations in practice and analyzing those situations is what allows me to go into the fight and have the confidence and the ability and the composure to be able to handle those situations as professionally as possible.
That was one thing that went around the world virally afterwards, obviously the finish.
Yeah.
The I am the best affirmation went around the world as well. How do you feel about now when you're seeing, for example, in the UK, we've got a soccer team, the Chelsea ladies soccer team, that used the affirmation in a team talk. You've got Brandon Moreno as well, who also used that affirmation inspired by yourself. I know that, listen, you were working on yourself, you were doing it for you and your practices, but that is now inspiring others, and other people are going down that road too. How does that make you feel?
It's really cool, especially it being people just using it in the proper way, right? Like, without it being, you know, this like egotistical, I'm better than you. No, it's just about you. It's about, you know, just being your best self, right? And so I'm happy about that it's people are catching on to it, but not just that, but it's allowing people that would seem like, you know, Brandon, I don't know, I could be totally wrong, but he seems like a pretty cool dude, and he seems like he's not the type to necessarily kick a guy while they're down, but but that doesn't mean you can't, you know, talk highly of yourself in a confident and factual manner. So for me, for other people to be doing that and it be like a good example instead of like, you know, just some trash talk or something, that's pretty cool too.
It's a life lesson, I suppose, for everybody in it. I mean, it's not just for mixed martial artists, as we've just been speaking there, the crossover into other sports, but just life in general of having that opinion of yourself. The most important thing in anybody's life is what's going on between their ears and what they think about themselves. And obviously, if they've taken inspiration from seeing you do what you did, again, that's in some ways worth more than the belt at times, isn't it? That you're inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I wouldn't say, I would say it's comparing apples to oranges. You know, obviously the belt is always cool, you know, and it's the coolest. And then, you know, inspiring others is also really, really cool as well.
With that in mind, are you, in your opinion, more dangerous now than you ever have been? Like what I'm saying is that self-confidence. Obviously, we've always known that you've had the ability to do the things in the octagon, but now that the self-confidence is there, does that make you even more dangerous than you were previously?
Yeah, I would think so. Potentially, right? Like, I think it definitely raises my potential to a whole nother level. You know, obviously things have to manifest how they're supposed to manifest. So if that's in my destiny and that's my fate, yes. But I do think that, yeah, having that belief in and knowledge of self is 100% the most, that's, yeah, everything that I need in order to be dangerous. And I'm already dangerous, so I don't know. Yeah.
When I speak to a lot of fighters, I always find it fascinating the things that they do to take themselves away from fighting. Because we all need a rest. It can be mental burnout. Yours is gardening. I'm fascinated by this. How did you get into it? What is the thing that goes through your mind when you're in that process? Is it used as taking yourself away from fighting to give your mind a rest, to cleanse the soul?
Yeah.
It's
I think I've come to realize now, yes, it is. And I think the more and more that I've, become older and like learn myself more, I realize that it's just who I am. Like that is my ultimate life purpose. Like obviously I'm a martial artist and it's primarily what I do most of the time, but I'm working towards becoming a farmer. Like that's,
is that
yeah.
what you're going to do after
Yes.
martial arts, you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying it since I was in kindergarten when they asked us what we want to be when we grow up. And I just said it like it's just ingrained in me. I don't know if it's where that came from, and it has to be God sent because it's always been, I've always had a love for nature and animals. And, I think that it's just always been there, and it's always been something that I've been fighting for. And I'm still doing it, and I'm doing it more and more as I get older, and my garden's becoming bigger and bigger every year. And
what have you got on it? What are you growing?
You're
harvesting food on there, yeah?
Yeah. So I just so October 30th is like the end of the community garden season in Colorado.
This is serious now. I like this.
Yeah.
You're into the seasons of it, right?
Yeah. Oh, dude, I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm like black belt level as far as like martial arts, but I'm getting there.
Yeah.
I'm getting there. So, I've joined the community garden 2 years ago, I believe. And the first year I just had one plot, which was like 15 by 15.
So this is like, for people in the UK, this is like
Yeah.
an allotment.
Yeah. So I don't know in the UK, but in the United States, we got community gardens where it's in the middle of the city where people don't have land, right? So you can, team up with some people, you get like a piece of land, and then everybody has like a little share that you can, rent out a space, and there's tools there, everything you need. So, this year I had twice as much. So I had 2 plots, and I was able to which is crazy because I don't know how I was able to do it with like my schedule and stuff. But, the thing about growing outside is it just kind of takes care of itself. So I did potatoes, I did butternut squash, I did cucumbers, tomatoes, beets, carrots. I mean, you name it. I did almost like everything that you could that most people eat.
And how's the produce? Is it good?
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. I will say the best that I was usually Colorado's really tough to grow tomatoes because it's so dry up there.
I'm getting a lesson here. I like this. I like it.
But yeah, because we're like high desert plains, but it's kind of weird. But anyway, yeah, so the tomatoes were excellent this year, and it's usually kind of like rare.
How important have you found having that extra passion? Because when you're speaking about it now, your face lights up.
Yeah.
You're obviously really into it. Yeah. To take yourself away from MMA, of which then probably reinvigorates yourself when you come back to the gym, how important has that been for you?
I think it's really important. I think it's really important for all fighters to have that. I mean, unless if you're just like, Khamzat or somebody who just loves like just to get in there and that's it. But for me, it's like I think I used to be like that, and now I don't really enjoy always just hurting people for no reason. You know what I mean? So to me, to have that, for there to be a purpose behind it, and obviously the goal is for everybody to come out as safe as possible. So for me to have that and to know that it's going somewhere instead of like, you can't fight forever. I mean, obviously Teixeira is showing us that maybe we can, but definitely, not too much into your 40s.
So when you finish on the farm, on the allotment,
yeah,
and you go back to the gym, what a gym to go back to. At the moment, it is absolutely red hot. You've got champions flowing through there at the moment. Obviously, the weekend, a big night for Trevor with yourself. He's got Justin on there. He's got Kamaru on there. What's that like to be in that environment around other champions, inspiring you, obviously, to go even further?
Yeah, it's something that I probably don't take, I probably sometimes take for granted just because I've always been surrounded by, like, ever since I started mixed martial arts and I first met Pat and Chico in Milwaukee, ever since then, like, my experience of just being around greatness in mixed martial arts has always been top notch.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I've traveled the world, I've seen all different types of gyms and trained with lots of different people. So I think that's maybe something that I kind of forget about sometimes, but it is really awesome. And I am blessed to be around people like Gaethje and Kamaru, Trevor, and all that stuff.
You've been in rematch situations before. How do you approach the second fight? For example, in the Joanna fight, you finish Joanna. How do you then go and approach the second contest as you've got obviously up in front of you this weekend?
Yeah, well, you basically just analyze how the first one went, right? You kind of just observe as unbiased as possible and try to, obviously, I want to pat myself on the back and, all that stuff, I'm the best. But, I definitely have to, like, step outside of myself and, hey, what happened? Is there anything that can be improved?
Yeah.
Always, right? And then what can we keep with, what
Do you have
works?
to treat it like the first one never happened?
No, definitely not. But you do have to treat it like a new fight, right?
Okay.
So, and you also have to treat it ultimately like you just have to be ready for a fight because fights change, right? So I just have to be ready for November 6th. And then secondarily, I have to be ready for Weili. And, ultimately, I just have to be my best version of myself. So, like, whatever insufficiencies that I have where I feel like I can be better at, that's what I focus on the most. Secondarily, yeah, we want to keep in mind what are the likely scenarios that maybe my opponent can pose or, change up or try to, throw at me. But ultimately, it's just being my best self.
What do you think those different scenarios will be this time from Weili? We've seen on social media that she's teaming up with people like Henry Cejudo, so that would imply maybe there's more grappling coming your way. Do you take much interest in that, or do you think, as you just said there, I'm concentrating on me and I'll deal with the scenarios when they present themselves in the octagon on the night?
Yeah, I definitely take that into consideration for, somewhat. But ultimately, to do something that you've, like, only been training for, like, for her to totally change up her game plan, I mean, I have to be prepared for her to try something different and then go back to what she's normally does, right? Or I just have to be ready for anything. With my last couple of fights, people have been focused on my striking and stuff like that, and I'm always working on my grappling. I'm always working on blending all of it together. So in a way, I am just, I guess, focused on myself. It always comes back. Always comes back.
That's the best way of being.
Yeah.
New York's your place as well, isn't it? You've got very fond memories here of previous victories where you've obviously become champion, defended in Brooklyn as well.
Yeah.
It's a good place for you.
I've always had a huge respect for New York City. It's really complex. It's very intricate, and the energy here is pretty amazing. But it always keeps me on my toes as well. You know what I mean? You never know what's gonna happen here. There's always something going on. So as much as I would never say any place is mine, but I think that's why I do end up having success here is because I'm just, I guess, aware of my surroundings and always making sure that I'm I guess, ready for anything.
I think this is the place as well where DC went wild on the commentary, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, when I
So-
first became the champion, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. You're always going to be linked as well with Carla, with obviously your previous bout with her. Is that something that you want to get back at some point?
I mean, yeah, I've been wanting to get that one back ever since it happened. So if it's meant to be, I'll be really excited about that.
Finally, how does this play out at the weekend?
I see myself, punching her face, taking her back and choking her out, getting my hand raised and getting the job done.
Doug Rose, thank you so much for
Yeah.
your time here on BT Sport. Go well this week.
Thank you so much.